Welcome, beautiful buddies and gentlemen family. The Club World Cup is ahead of us and there is a lot of excitement to it. But this video got recommended to me on YouTube by a very small creator right here, Badir Ball. This tournament could destroy football, talking obviously about the Club World Cup, and I thought it would be interesting to take a look at this, see if he has any interesting points, see if he has anything I agree or disagree with, or maybe he has something I haven't even thought about. So let's get into it.
All right, the Club World Cup starts this weekend, and I really don't think it's an exaggeration whatsoever to say this tournament has the potential to completely nuke football as we know it. Now, football in itself is an inequitable sport, okay? In every continent, there is levels of inequity built on top of each other. In every continent, in every continental competition. And this tournament is meant to bring everybody together and, everybody gets crowned the best team in the world and all that jazz. On a footballing perspective, right? Of course, there are the concerns about player safety. These players just finished the season. They have to play another competition. The clubs are taking it seriously. It's going to be...
I mean, the only thing is, like, the Club World Cup is identical to a previous World Cup. Obviously, the new edition of the World Cup that will be launched in 2026 will have, 40 teams instead of 24, 26 teams. But this tournament is exactly like a World Cup. So it's nothing new for these players. They've always had a World Cup after. Maybe you could say Nations League game, but, the nations that didn't play Nations League game played World Cup qualifiers, something else. So it really isn't that big of a difference from before. I would only say the only added games are obviously the Champions League format. So a couple more games in the Champions League. But apart from that, I think people are overreacting a bit over the Club World Cup and extra games and so on.
High intensity games and so on and so forth. There's obviously all that. Everybody's already talked about that. And it's a very clear and obvious concern. From a footballing perspective, purely just entertainment perspective, I am intrigued. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. I am very interested in what the tournament has to offer. I do think it's going to... I'm excited to see some of the best teams in the other continents try to compete for this tournament. I'm excited to see more football. I'm not going to lie. But the real potential for this tournament to completely destroy football and how it is financially. Right now, this tournament is going to come in at $1 billion, with a B. $1 billion in tournament prize money, just based on competition. $1 billion on prize money. That $1 billion is up from just $15 million last Club World Cup. $15 million spread across 7 teams. That's how it used to be. For an average of $2.2 million per team.
Wow, that's disgusting. I mean, that's also why that tournament was never treated with any respect. 15 million for an entire tournament. Wow.
Now we have $1 billion. I can't stop saying that number. $1 billion divided between 32 teams for an average of 32 million.
For the people that don't know, there's more prize money in the Club World Cup than in the Champions League. It's mostly because of the percentage. So, for example, I believe 100% of the revenue generated at the Club World Cup will go to the football teams. Whereas in the Champions League, it's not 100% of the revenue that goes to the clubs. It's like maybe, let's estimation, just say they get 40%. UEFA takes the other 60% and so on. That's obviously one of the reasons why they wanted to create a new Super League, because they don't like how UEFA takes a very large part of the cake, whilst it's the teams that are contributing with the players and everything.
Million per team. This, I think the best way to really describe this is, if you win this tournament, if your European team wins this tournament, which is likely what's going to happen, if you as a European team win this tournament, you are liable to make $125 million in prize money, which is almost as much as you make from winning the Champions League. This is basically the financial equivalent of winning another Champions League. If PSG or City or whoever were to win, it's the financial equivalent of winning another Champions League.
I mean, it is true. And it's also the equivalent, I believe, of like finishing last in the Premier League, playing 38-game season. But this is the Club World Cup. It's supposed to have this kind of prize money. And then I think it's a little bit okay because it's only played once every 4th year. Maybe, with this prize money every single season, let's say a team dominates it, they will have insane amount of money.
And this makes it insanely important to all the European teams. It's insanely important to all the European teams to not just do well, but potentially win it. It's make or break. It could completely change the history, the future of teams like Inter or Atleti or Juve. But
and that's, very huge from the Club World Cup. Obviously, it's a lot of it has to do with some kind of desperation. They wanted, the clubs to really value this tournament, which they will do, which eventually will lead to the football fans and football supporters valuing this tournament based upon, the players valuing it and so on. But it's a lot. It's just about money.
European teams the European scale is just part of it, because you could go out in the group stage and come up with like 13 million, 40 million, 30 million, 40 million dollars. Huge money, of course, right? But not as consequential. Here's the problem, though. The other continents, there's already the inequality built. The same way there's inequality in European football and there's top dogs, the same thing happens in all the other continents. And for them, the stark difference is ginormous. It's ridiculous. I'm just going to go by it one by one. Africa is represented by 4 teams. And Ahli are the Egyptian champions. They've won 4 of the last CAF Champions Leagues, the 4 of the last African Champions Leagues, okay? They are, by so far, the most dominant African club team ever. They are one of the most decorated club teams ever in all of football in general, okay? They have a market value of their squad that's 43% higher than just number 2 in all of Africa. 43% higher than number 2. They've already poached the star player of their historic rival Zamalek, okay? So they are operating, in itself, they are operating on a financial plane so much higher, galaxies higher than everybody else in Africa. If you win the African Champions League, you get $4 million. That's your prize money for winning the African Champions League.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's a huge reason why African football hasn't evolved, because 4 million.
Participating. Let me say that again. For participating in the Club World Cup, you get $10 million. You get more than double what you get for winning the African Champions League by just participating in this competition. Which means, just at Ahli's presence in this competition is already going to put them at a higher stratosphere than everybody else. They're already in their own league. Now they're going to be pushed even higher. And yes, there are 3 other teams, 3 other African teams in the competition. Yeah, and Ahli go high here, and those 3 teams financially separate from the rest of Africa. If one of these teams were to exit the group stage, get to the knockouts, that's another $7 million right there. That's another 2 Champions League gone, and $2 million for every win they get. Every two wins is another African Champions League in terms of.
I mean, this is a great point he makes. I didn't even think about how this will affect the clubs outside of Europe. He's obviously talking about the gap. For example, if Madrid get 125 million extra, yes, it will help them, but will it push them that much more than the other top teams in Europe? But in a continent like Africa, even South America, imagine, let's say, River Plate make a quarterfinal run. Well, I don't know, by his estimation, maybe they will make up to 40, 50 million, which would be absolutely huge for that club. So, no, just listening to the numbers and the money and everything, this will be a huge thing for any club that achieves it. And he's talking about just qualifying for this tournament is absolutely huge, which will put more pressure on coefficient point and winning, for example, the African Champions League, the Asian Champions League, Copa Libertadores, and whatever they have in America as well.
There's a prize money. That's the kind of money we're talking about here. It has the potential to basically make it, and this goes across all the continents. I'll outline them all. But basically,
the thing is, though, this has always been part of football, just like it's in real life. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's basically the same here. The rich and top big clubs in Africa get even richer. The top and big clubs in South America get even richer. The top and big clubs in Asia just get even bigger by simply participating, and depending how long they perform as well, can get even more.
This tournament has the potential where if you are not in it.
One thing I will also mention is, for example, Saudi Arabia. Just looking money-wise, Saudi Arabia you always used to have, one of the top teams in Asia. But I think the last one, they had like 2 teams in the semifinal of the Asian Champions League. So Saudi, because of how much money they're putting into, are going to destroy Asian football basically, and are going to dominate Asian football to such an extent where we will see 4 Saudi teams in the Asian Champions League. And this will only make it worse, obviously, even though like 10 million to Al Hilal isn't that big.
You are going to be so financially behind in your continent. It might just be completely unsustainable. Like it might be impossible to compete if you're not in this competition. South America is another one. South America has 6 teams representing it, okay? I don't know how many people know this. I feel like it's kind of like an under-talked story in terms of global football. The Copa Libertadores, you get $23 million for winning the Copa Libertadores, right? A Brazilian team has won the Copa Libertadores 7 of the last 8 times. Of the last 16 finalists, 11 have been Brazilian teams. And in the last 5 years, we've had 4 all-Brazilian finals, both teams in the finals being Brazilian teams, okay? 4 out of the 6 teams are Brazilian. 4 out of the 6 representatives in the Club World Cup are Brazilian. The other 2 are obviously the River Plate and Boca Juniors, the other 2 big teams in South America. So there's already a ginormous financial disparity between the Brazilian league and everybody else, even River Plate and Boca Juniors. There's already a huge financial disparity, okay? And now, every 4 years, there are going to be 4 to 6 Brazilian teams that get an insane financial boost. South American teams get $15 million just for participating, so more than African teams. They get $15 million just for participating. If they get to the knockouts, that's equivalent of another Copa Libertadores win. That's basically the financial equivalent of that. If just to get to the knockouts. You get to the quarterfinals, you somehow make it to the semifinals, you're making money that's simply never before seen in that continent. It's outrageous how much money we're talking about. In Asia, there's already built-in inequality by the fact that Saudi have just spent ungodly amounts of money, right? And the Gulf countries spend a lot anyway, but so there's already a built-in inequality there. And realistically, this tournament is basically the byproduct of what Saudi wants to do. This tournament is they've basically helped engineer it to give themselves a more global platform. This is where they want to show out. That's why you're seeing them scramble to make big signings in this window, right? That's another thing, by the way. Thing I didn't mention earlier is this earlier transfer window for the teams that are in the Club World Cup. This is an every 4-year occurrence now. Every 4 years, there is going to be an earlier window where so much of the business is done so early by the biggest teams in order to have players to compete for this tournament. So that's another way this tournament changed the landscape of things. The way they're looking at it right now, okay? There's only one Saudi representative this year, and that's Al Hilal. Already this year's tournament was won by Al Ahli, so they'll be a next edition of the Club World Cup. So if you're Saudi, you see this tournament as an opportunity for a global audience.
Yeah.
You want to dominate at this tournament. You want to win at this tournament.
One thing a lot of people don't know is, I mean, Saudi is going to be part of the Champions League soon. They've already talked a lot of times with Chefrin and UEFA about coming in. And we know about Israel, for example, a nation that was previously part of the Asian coefficient that joined Europe, both as a national team and with the club team. So Saudi could be looking into maybe just their club teams, putting them into the Champions League. And 100%, they will definitely see the Club World Cup as that stage to show off. Al Hilal will be facing up against Real Madrid in match week 1. Imagine Al Hilal wins. That will change the perception of Saudi football. People will say, yo, because I said it myself. I said Al Hilal would make top 4 in every single European top 5 league. A lot of people disagreed with it. Heavy ignorance, because that's also one thing from the excitement point I like about the Club World Cup. People will be shocked about the quality outside of Europe. People are predicting the quarterfinals to only be European teams. They're going to be surprised.
Okay? What that means is they will do every single thing possible for all 4 winners of the Asian Champions League to be Saudi, right? They need to dominate the coefficient and they need to dominate the Asian Champions League so that they can take their opportunity and all 4 teams from Asia be Saudi. In North America, you get $5 million for winning the CONCACAF Champions League Cup. $5 million. You get $10 million just for participating in this tournament. So again, just participating in this thing is double the amount you get for winning the continental competition that could bring you here. Okay, that's
the thing. Like 10 million for European teams is nothing, but 10 million for these, because I've always thought about the money, but I've never thought about how it will affect the smaller teams.
Causing all kinds of shit in MLS specifically because they have the salary cap and all that, and their bonus structure, their revenue structure based on these tournaments is capped by their current agreement. And now they're being offered 20% of whatever the team earns from these third-party tournaments or these international tournaments. The players are being offered that. Now, first of all, 20% is not enough because they should be getting a lot more. But here's the other thing. Let's say for MLS purposes, let's say the Seattle Sounders win the cup this year, right? They're in it 4 years from now, which means all those players know they're going to get international tournament bonuses in 4 years. What's to stop players from kind of just being like, hey, let's get over there. That's where we want to play. That's guaranteed money. That's more guaranteed money right there instantly. In a salary cap league like MLS, which again I'm against the salary cap, but let's focus on the basics here. What's to stop players from being like, I know that team is going to be making X amount of money more. Those players are going to be making X amount of money more in 3-4 years. I want to go there. What's to stop them from doing that? There's so much potential for chaos in this landscape. This tournament is going to be, as it currently exists, this tournament is going to basically be for non-European teams. If you are not in this, you will fall massively behind. And virtually you will have no chance of competing if you are not in this competition. I really don't think I'm overstating the issue when I say like this could genuinely destroy a sport that's already full of inequality. It's full of financial gaps and everything. This could make that even a billion times higher.
I mean, that's also basically what the Super League will do. The Super League will only be for the rich clubs. And the Super League will generate insane amount of revenue, and a high percentage of that will directly go to the clubs, which means that the clubs that are not in the Super League will be absolutely cooked. Like me as a Parisian supporter, when a lot of clubs went into the Super League and PSG didn't go into, I was a bit scared if the Super League was created because we would be at such a disadvantage. And this is basically the same thing. Now that the video has ended, shout out to this guy. I'll put the video in the link down below if you want to go and watch the video or watch any of his videos if you thought this one was interesting. But he brought up a great point which I didn't think about before, how this huge amount of money will affect other teams. I knew how it would affect European teams, giving them an incentive to play their best players and to actually value this tournament, but it has a even way bigger effect, especially the thing he mentioned, like Al Ahli. We know they're going to be there, and he's talking about the high percentage bonus they will receive for just participating in the tournament, and many players will go there. The Club World Cup is going to take over. This is just the first edition of it, and we will see so much change from it. as he mentioned as well, excitement as a football supporter, I have so much excitement. But when he's talking about the ramifications of the Club World Cup, it's not looking that good. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. What do you guys think about his opinion? And do you think this could potentially ruin football? That's been it from boy PSGINT, and as usual, allez, allez, allez Paris.